Meeting on the crossroads where the two forbidden subjects of politics and religion intersect. This is the Sophie Scholl Roundtable, and I'm so glad that Melissa is back once again to share with us teaching in the 21st century. And we need to understand, because I just learned so much from the last session, the effects and impact of technology. I feel like we're just scratching the surface. Melissa, welcome back.
Thank you.
You mentioned to me, we were just conversing, that technology has reached the state where you can amplify your voice in the classroom. Tell us how that works.
I can. So for me, it's actually an advantage because I have a soft voice, but we have sound systems in our classrooms which can either be worn kind of as a microphone around your ears, or you can wear it as sort of a necklace, which is the kind I have, and it just amplifies your voice all over the classroom.
So the speakers are in the corners of the room?
Wireless speakers. Yeah, they're up in the ceiling.
Okay.
Formerly, they used to have speakers too that could be sitting on countertops, but it is a great thing for me, like I said, because I have a soft voice. But for students in the classroom, it really helps them pay attention and focus and hear you.
Yeah. So that's where technology is a good thing.
Yes, that's a positive.
That's very good. And like you say, you've suffered from laryngitis.
Yes, I used to get laryngitis every year, and I could not talk for a week. One year I had it, and I could not talk for 2 weeks. And you can't call in sick for 2 weeks. So it's hard to teach when you can only talk like this.
Right. Wow. So in that case, we see technology doing a lot of good.
Yes.
To help the teacher be able to teach better.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. I know. And you're just talking too, with respect to homework technology, and you're kind of evolving to a different point, or coming to a different conclusion about homework and the aspect of kids out of school.
Yeah, I really just have this feeling that less homework is better for the students, because when they have been at school all day with teachers in a structured environment, learning class after class after class, that they be able to leave our schools. They should be able to leave school and go be with their family, or go to a sporting event, go eat dinner with their family, spend time with their family and friends. I don't feel like homework should be the top priority.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
I've resorted to doing more homework in class.
Okay.
So I call it, in my grade book, I call it classwork / homework.
Okay.
Which might have been years back. I may have given it as homework, but I'm starting to slowly resort more to classroom time, because if the point of doing homework is for them to practice what you've taught, and when you send it home, they don't have you there to ask questions.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can't rely on their parents. So if they're able to do some of that in school with you, then they can get started on it. A lot of times kids will finish it in class, and they can ask questions.
Yeah. Wow. So very good.
And I think just the fact that way too, they don't have to always take that Chromebook home and be connected all the time.
See, I think that's an interesting point you bring up. Do we want kids so connected or dependent upon a device?
No, we say that about their phones.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of adults, including parents, they don't want their kids on a cell phone playing
Right.
games or watching YouTube or
Right.
watching TikTok or on Twitter, Facebook. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
And this the same thing with a Chromebook.
Yeah. Wow.
Playing games,
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah.
They're very addicted to get video games.
And you have to watch that in the classroom too, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. So I feel like as a teacher, you're just having to do so much more rather than just teach. I mean, I've heard like teachers being parents, and now you got to be the person who has a technology watch, so you got
Yep.
so many things you're trying to juggle.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Not to mention the fact that you eat breakfast and lunch at schools.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of school districts provide after school childcare.
So it's becoming
So
much more a place of
families really rely, I think, on
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
Parents.
Right. Right. As a teacher now for 22 years, do you feel like you have more freedom as a teacher or less freedom? Or about the same?
I would say it's about the same.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as freedom in what we teach, that comes from the state. So we're told by state standards, New York state standards in our case, what our curriculum should include and what we should teach.
Okay.
So we're told that. That's
Yeah.
not really a freedom,
Right.
but we can teach in different ways.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Now,
you're given a little bit of leeway.
right.
But you have to make sure you hit all the topics.
Okay. Now, as a teacher, do you have that desire? I wish I could do it differently. I mean, I wish I didn't have all these standards. Do you find them helpful or confining?
I think they're a helpful guideline, but it's confining when you can't go outside of that.
Okay.
So if you're a teacher that has a state test, I feel you're more confined. So in my situation, I do not have a state test, but 3rd grade, 4th grade, there's going to be new science testing in 5th grade now, in 8th grade, and also the regents, because that's grades 9 through 12.
Yeah.
They're all teaching so that these students can pass a test, a state test, a test devised and written by the state, and this is what you need to do.
Yeah. So it's like teaching to the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teachers don't really like that, but we're put in a position where, if we want our students to pass, and
Right.
if they're given this test, we want to prepare them for it.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you feel going into a test and just you're blown away by it? You're not prepared.
Right.
What would you think of your teacher?
Right.
They
I
didn't
know.
help you. They didn't prepare you. They didn't teach you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, as a teacher, I would think too, you would say, I'd like for them to emphasize this more. That is the students. I would like to put this emphasis before them. As a teacher, trying to do my best to educate the youth that are in my classroom.
Right.
This is what I feel I ought to do.
Yeah.
Instead of having something loom over your head
Right.
saying if you don't do well, that's almost like a commentary
Yeah.
on the teacher.
Yeah.
So you got that pressure.
Something new that's come upon teachers too would be state standards on social and emotional learning. That
SEL.
is very big.
SEL.
Yes. SEL.
Tell me about it.
Social and emotional learning. We are to now give specific lessons on self-esteem, confidence, how to react to bullying situations.
Mm.
different situations that kids get themselves into or, run into in school because they're with a lot of other kids, that how are they going to handle these things?
Wow.
So just with COVID, there was a lot of concern about everyone's social and emotional well-being. And so it's gotten really big since then.
Wow. So,
And that's a state, coming from the state
yeah.
too. But I think that's also a good thing.
Yeah.
Because since COVID, there's been a lot of social and emotional problems because kids were like isolated and not around groups of kids.
Right. To kind of learn how to socialize again.
Yeah.
But that does take up class time.
It does.
And I imagine you would say, I'd much rather use this time for.
I feel the social and emotional part of it is very important.
Okay.
I would rather focus on their emotional well-being. I think that should be a top priority rather than do you know what kind of clouds these are?
Oh,
like
okay.
if I'm teaching a weather unit,
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean, the core subject area is important, but their social emotional well-being is more important.
Yeah. Wow. Now, being a believer in the school, do you find that there's at times something that conflicts inside regarding content or what's done within the school?
Yeah. So, especially in science, so the whole idea of evolution.
Okay, yeah.
And we have, some lessons on that and pictures and some texts and things that we read about that. And actually, it's usually the students that will come up with a question.
Oh, okay.
And they will mention, I've had students mention to me from the Bible, like Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And didn't God create people in the world? And then, so at that point, we're talking about evolution. And I have to say that I try to handle this in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe in evolution.
Yeah, right.
And I present to them that, if you are a believer and, you've gone to church and you've listened to lessons in church about Adam and Eve, and that is your belief that you believe God created the world and God created people, Adam and Eve, that's different than evolution. But there's also a scientific view, which they call evolution, that created the world. But I also say that I tell them, I'm a believer and I believe that.
Wow. And they bring it up.
Yeah, usually it's them.
Wow.
I always get a question about that.
Because you can't stand up there as a teacher and say, I really don't believe in evolution. I believe that God creted heaven and earth as it says in the Bible.
I tell them which I believe in because they will present, well, what about God and Adam and Eve?
Yeah.
And
wow, that's good.
So we do have students that are believers and their parents are strong believers.
Yeah. Wow, it's great that you have the opportunity to give the biblical perspective in light of this secularistic perspective.
Yeah. As a teacher, though, I am not to be at that time teaching the religious aspect of it.
Yeah. Huh.
But it's okay for me to say what I believe.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to present this is what some people believe, and other people believe in evolution. And other people believe in creation.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that's how I try to handle it.
Right. Right. Very good. Because
I think it's good for them too, just to see, like, I am a science teacher, but
yes,
I believe
yes,
in
exactly.
the creation versus evolution.
Right. And you don't have to say, I'm a science teacher, and therefore I can't believe what the Bible has to say. You can be a believer in Jesus Christ and be a scientist
Right.
as well, and have it be consistent. Wow, that's very good. Do you find that as you continue to teach, the aspect of kids being able to learn is still similar from what it was 20 years ago, or are they having more difficulty learning, or is that just too hard to say at this point?
I think it's more difficult for them
Okay.
to learn. And I'm going to go back to, this is just my perspective or my thoughts on it. I, again, think devices and internet
Mm-hmm.
and the addiction to them
Mm-hmm.
have this effect on them that they always want things immediately.
Okay.
And I just think that affects their learning because they have a harder time paying attention. They have a harder time focusing. And even if you look at overall the student populations of ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
that's much more prevalent now than it used to be.
Okay.
Just, I think that it's had an effect on their ability to really focus.
Okay.
And therefore it does affect their learning.
Yeah,
I think it is
yeah,
harder for them
yeah.
to learn.
Right.
And if you can't, as a teacher, like, be entertaining and be interesting and show them what they're interested in and keep them hooked, then you've lost them. It's hard.
So it's like teaching is also a performance.
You have to do cartwheels.
Oh no! I can't do them. I can't do them. Oh. So.
Tricks, cartwheels, jokes. You have to keep it going.
So it can be very draining.
It is. I'm mentally drained after school.
Yeah. Because just being on your feet
Yeah.
and then having to keep control while also having to maintain their interest. It's like you got to have it every minute of every hour. You're there in front of them or around them.
And as people, like, we're not perfect and we're not like that. I mean, I go to school some days and I'm tired or I don't feel good. Or I have laryngitis. And yeah, it's hard to be all there 100% of the time. I would say that's the hard part about the job.
Yeah. So what do you do to rejuvenate, restore?
It's a good question. I think teachers need to learn to do that more.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like to de-stress when I leave the school. I go for walks, exercise.
Oh, very good. That's great.
Even reading the Bible.
Yes. Excellent.
Yep. My Bible studies on Sunday nights.
All right. It's good.
They do rejuvenate me for the week. They just make me feel stronger and
good.
More in touch with God.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
And it provokes me and, encourages me, I should say, to want to read more. And so I do, I just put school aside, put my job aside, put my stresses aside. And I like to just open the Bible and read a little bit.
Yeah. Great. And do you have fellowship with other believers there at the school?
Well, the person I was closest with, she is a believer and she just retired.
Oh, okay.
Year, so, but yes, I do.
That's good.
I do have some teachers that we can talk to each other and rely on each other and support each other in a religious and godly way.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I think in some schools they have impact for teachers, if I understand correctly.
We tried that one year. We would get together for lunch.
Okay.
And eat lunch together and just talk about who needs to be prayed for. And just, there's one teacher that I'm thinking of in particular that just, she kind of led that. I don't think we called it Impact for Teachers, but it was sort of like that.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah. Okay.
One year, and I don't know, it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
It's so hard because our jobs are so on such a time schedule.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
Period
at
end,
11:16 you do this.
Yes, exactly. Bell rings. Oh, I know. Wow. Wow. Anything else you want to add?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay.
It's a challenging position,
right?
Job, but it's important.
It sure is.
These are our kids, our future.
I know. When you think of
and
this,
we want to put them in the right direction.
Yes, I know. You're
not only educationally but religiously.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're part of that group that kids will remember the rest of their lives. You are. I mean, I remember my teachers. Mm-hmm. That's, to me, that tells the impact, significance that they had.
Yeah.
In their life.
I remember all of my teachers.
Yeah. Right.
Right down to kindergarten.
Wow. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to Mrs. Baker in second grade, Mrs. Roth in first grade. Was it Mrs. Brinkman in kindergarten? I don't know. I don't know, but that's good. Oh, but listen, this has been great. We got to do this again. So, don't know when that'll be, but hey.
Sounds good.
I like it. Just
thank you for having me.
Oh, this has been great. Andy, great suggestion. All right, join us next time for the Sophie Scholl Roundtable.